Good morning, stat students. Professor Charlie here. This is the contraption we're going to be using in stats class this semester. It's been around for about 30 years. Many of you have used it in high school and college algebra. It's used for graphing. It's generically called a graphing calculator. So many of you are familiar with it already, but we're going to use it for some things you might not be familiar with this semester. So this it's been around for more than 30 years, and see, great-great-great-great-grandfather of your cell phone, in spite of what Steve Jobs might have tried to make us believe. But people have been writing apps for it. Here's the apps button since its inception, so you can get all kinds of apps for it. We'll just be using the standard functions of the device. Well, these bottom 6 rows are just a standard scientific calculator. The only peculiarity is it has a negative sign and a minus sign. So, for instance, if I was taking first turn it on. If I was taking 2, as in that example, minus a negative 2, I would get 4. Because minus a negative is a positive. And if I were to take negative 2 times negative 2, I would get positive 4, because a negative times a negative is a positive. So that's that. The functions, special functions of the calculator are up here with these arrow keys. And these buttons along the top here I call the graphing buttons. They're for graphing things. So what are we going to do in this class? Well, here's a stat button. That's probably where most of our exercises will start. That's easy to remember, a stat button for stat class. So I'm going to press the stat button, and then you see I've got 3 sub-menus here. The very first thing that comes up is edit, and I'm just going to press enter. And I get a bunch of lists, and these are going to be the basic tools we're going to use. So if I want to enter a list of numbers in L1, L2, L3, and so on, we'll almost exclusively use L1 and L2. I would just hit just what you think, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. So I've entered 4 numbers. This is L1 of 4. Now, if I want to clear out a list, I would arrow up to the top here so that L1 is highlighted. And I'd hit the clear button and then enter. And that clears out the list so I can enter a new list now. Now, here's something that can go wrong. If I arrow up here to let me put a list back in here. I'll just put 2, 3, 4. If I arrow up here to L1 and I accidentally press the delete button instead, normally delete and clear often mean similar things. If I press the delete button, oh my God, the entire list has gone away. And if you start your calculator up and L1 is missing, or one of these other lists is missing, someone's done that. So here's what you do. You go to the stat button and you go down to 5, set up editor. Press enter, it will type it on the screen. Press enter and it will do it. Now when I go back to my list, stat, enter, my list is back. My L1 is back. Now to go back to the home screen to use this as a calculator, you press the second quit button. So I can clear everything off the home screen. Now if I type L1, you can see that L1 is written in blue on this model of the calculator. So I'd press the blue button and then L1. 2, 3, 4. There's my list if I wanted to see what's entered in it. Okay, now I'm going to enter a great big list into L1. This is an example we had in class. This let me see, this is 8 times 3, 24 numbers here. So that's a big list. It's going to take quite some time. You're probably going to get bored. While I'm doing it, you might want to go get a cup of coffee. So I'm going to hit the stat key and edit. Then I'm going to go up to L1 and I'm going to hit clear and enter. So now I've cleared out that list. Now I'm going to enter this big list of numbers. I must say this is quite a long list for what we encounter in this class. But bear with me. I'm doing all the work. 2.57. I might make a mistake because it's difficult to read the list and also see what's going into the calculator. 1.82. And that's a common source of incorrect answers in this class. Entering simply one number wrong in the list will give you wrong answers. 1.11, 2.4. It's much easier to do this with two people, but one to look at the calculator and one to look at the list. But of course, you're on your own during exams. 1.25. This seems like a lot of work, but I assure you it's worth it. 2.64, 2.62, 1.37, 2.3, 2.48, 2.38, 2.75, 1.5, 1.62, 2.19, 0.35, 0.87. See, I'm putting in the 24th number, so that's good. At least I've got the right number of numbers in this list. So that's good. I'm going to use this list in the second video. And I think that's it. That'll get us started.